Welcome to the sixth episode of 8 Hours Later with the Stream Queen. My name is Just E. You may know my voice from another podcast I do with my hubby, Paul, named E Says, P Says. Currently, we are on a little hiatus due to Paul dealing with some health challenges. Thankfully, Paul is on the mend and we are getting back into the swing of things, which includes recording. That said, I've gone solo to create a few podcasts that deal with some interests outside of marriage and relationships. This being the first one where I discuss my love of television by blaming Netflix, lol. I'll discuss my new love of British crime and my general love of crime TV. This will also include my enjoying vintage TV and a plethora of other streaming categories I enjoy. I'll share my TV streaming history and how I track the many shows I like. So let's begin. Close the doors, grab a snack, and let me know what you think. If you are new here, hello and welcome. To catch you up, last week I didn't release an episode. There was some technical difficulty. But in the previous week, I discussed several shows: Rosemary in Time, the Madame Blanc Mysteries, Unforgotten, the Inspector Lindley Mysteries, and Tony and Ziva. I also got a peek at the new Lindley series. If you want to watch along, you can check these shows out on BritBox, PBS, and Paramount Plus, respectively. So please take a listen or watch and leave some comments on any of my social media or podcast platforms at Mock Media Group. So, what you watching? This week, I decided I should take a break from murder. Let's face it, murder can be a little dark. No matter how deep or light the characters are on the show vibe, they still make you feel blah and wonder about the people in the world. So, I watched The Librarian, the next chapter, All Creatures Great and Small, The Durrells, Star Trek, Strange New World, and Grantchester. Pardon my New York accent. Grantchester, that's a G. If you fell in love with the original Librarian series, you should love the new one. The only recurring crack, the only recurring the only recurring character on the new series is Christian Kane, the OG good bad guy. He is always ready to give out an old-fashioned beatdown when needed. Of course, it's always needed. LOL. And true to the original magic is released into the world because the librarian is trying to reunite with his true love. So off we go with a new set of beginner librarians sent out to save the world. Although this time it is just regular people that happen to be drawn into the original release of Magic that become interim librarians since they were not chosen by the library to help contain Magic. The first season contains 12 action packed episodes with the quote unquote librarians chasing Magic across Europe to get it back into the library. We also learn about the librarians' backstories along the way and how they came to believe in magic. And this time, the lead librarian, Vikram, is English. Yay! So we get some English accents from him and the caretaker. And we know I love an English accent. So if you like the original librarians, take a peek. It's on TNT and probably on demand on whichever TV provider you use. Leave me a comment on any of my platforms and let me know what you think at my media group or on the podcast platform. Another non-murder series was All Creatures Great and Small, which you would think is about nature, but no, it's about an egotistical and overly controlling veterinarian in a small English country town in the 1940s to 1992. It too is on Prime Video with a PBS subscription. So far, I have watched 5 seasons and am waiting for the sixth. You would think that a show about a veterinarian would be boring. Well, you would be mistaken. Firstly, we start with a new veterinarian. we start with a new veterinarian coming to work with Siegfried that he doesn't approve of because he feels he doesn't need anyone else. However, as usual, you have the overly involved housekeeper, Mrs. Hall, that sees all and knows exactly what is needed. So she prevents Siegfried from running James, the city kid with a new veterinary degree, away, especially when he was run off, especially when he has run off all of the other candidates with his grumpy and unfriendly manner. Though he is an excellent veterinarian and it's a farm community. So he deals with dogs, cats, horses, cows, goats, pigs, you name it. They deal with him. And just as James gets comfortable, here comes Tristan, Siegfried's alter ego and younger brother, who he has raised because their parents passed away. Though Tristan is attending school, he can't seem to pass his exams so that he can help in the family business. And Tristan only comes home to get money for the next semester, but this time Siegfried has had enough of his playboy and layabout ways and demands he work for his tuition this time, something Tristan is not prepared for. However, he and James make it work and become fast friends. As time moves forward, James and Tristan enlist in the war and thankfully come back alive, with Tristan surprisingly excelling in the service. Another student is brought in while they are away, Hugh, who becomes part of the family while they are away, and we are sad to see him return to school where everyone returns. Currently, in season 5, James is married and has become a partner in the business with Siegfried, which is hilarious. Can you imagine working with someone that doesn't want to release control? Well, let's just say to resolve the issue, they hire a young lady that is, a woman who is a bookkeeper as the office manager, and she is more controlling and um less and she is more controlling and more rigid than Siegfried, and it gives him pause when she walks through and starts to move everything around and checks the books and all of these things. It's it's um it's a must watch to see somebody out control the controller. So we are on to a new chapter. If you enjoy a good old fashioned family drama, so we are on to a new chapter with James becoming a partner in the veterinary practice, as well as becoming married and having children. So, if you enjoy a good old fashioned family drama and love animals, take a watch at All Creatures Great and Small. And let me know what you think by leaving a comment on any of my social media or podcast platforms at Bach Media Group. Next, I watch The Durrells in Corfu, or just The Durrells, which is also on Prime Video with a PBS subscription. Seems like I'm really into PBS these last few shows. This show is about an English widower who has become a single mother. She has 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl. Her oldest son, Larry, is trying to become a writer. The 2 middle children, a girl and a boy, that are in their teenage years, and a younger son, Gerald, that has ADHD or is autistic, how or whatever it is. He constantly gets reprimanded at school. She finally decides to move the family to Corfu so that her money will go further and her children can possibly have the freedom to explore their talents outside of the British constructs of education and norms. Well, the youngest, Gerald, is running away tutors left and right. The oldest is trying to write so he can help earn money for the family. The third eldest, Leslie, the third, yeah, the other son, has an affinity for guns and ultimately shoots himself and almost dies. The daughter, Margot, is trying to find a job but has no skills whatsoever. And of course, she gets a crush on an older, I'll say an older guy, but he's like her older brother's age, between 18 and 20, and she's around 14 or 15. So that's older. We all know that when you're in your teens, anybody over 18 is old. So the families, and of course, the crush that she has, he has no interest in her because she's younger than him. The family's rental house is falling apart, but they did not know this until they got to Corfu. Fortunately, they were able to enlist the help of Spiros, a native that knows a little bit of everything. He helps the family find a cleaner, a lady that is so old you would think she shouldn't work anymore, but she is made of stern stuff. And though she quits a few times because the youngest son, Gerald, wants to collect all the wild animals on Corfu and bring them home, she always returns and even tries to marry off one of her daughters to the second son, Leslie. If you like a good old fashioned family drama, the Durrells is it. So even with the mom relocating the children to Corfu and the children seem to be thriving, her relatives that have money and do help with the family finances attempt to withhold the money so that they will return to England because they feel like she has made a mistake by leaving her family and trying to do this on her own without anyone that she knows. So, there are 4 seasons of the show, which should keep you watching, laughing, and crying for a while. So please take a watch and let me know what you think. Leave a message or comment on one of my social media pages or on the podcast platform of your choice. For social media, it's at Mock Media Group. The last 2 shows I watched were Star Trek, Strange New World, and Grantchester. Yes, I am forever the chameleon. I am a Trekkie too. Have been since my years in high school. I would watch the old Star Trek episodes over and over and over. I have watched and enjoyed all the movies except the second one, The Wrath of Khan. For some strange reason, I just couldn't get into it. Don't think I have finished watching it to this day. I keep falling asleep. I have watched most of the spin offs and some of the new series like Discovery and Picard. However, as I mentioned before, sometimes in a show you begin to wonder what they are doing and need to take a break. So I did not finish watching Discovery, which has now ended, and I Picard as well, which I believe has ended on Paramount Plus too. So they're still available. So I still have the option of completing them. And hopefully I will do so because I really enjoyed Discovery. Picard started a little strange, but sometimes you gotta watch a couple of episodes to get past that. So if you are a Trekkie and interested in the prequel of where so if you are a Trekkie and interested in the prequel, where they deal with Captain or Commander Pike, who was the captain of the Enterprise before Kirk, then Strange New Worlds is a show for you. If you are true Trekkie, you know that Pike was lost on the series back in, I think it was in the 60s. So we're talking a while. So when I was watching it, they were repeats, though we didn't know it then because we've never seen it. So, and in one of the episodes, if you remember, he was like part machine. It was like his head, and then the rest was like a robot body, and he was rolling around. And so if you remember that episode, you just wonder because they would talk about Pike from time to time who this Pike person was. So Strange New World should clear all that up for us. I'm sure you will let me know on social media in one of our sites if you are a Trekkie. Currently, there are 3 seasons on Paramount Plus, with season 4 on deck. It is good to see the stories of everyone and how they came to the Enterprise and the adventures they had pre Kirk. I'm currently midway through season 1 and looking forward to watching more. If you are watching or plan to watch, please leave a comment on our social media platform at Mock Media Group or 8 hours later on a podcast platform. And finally, there is Grantchester, which is where I went back to the right. It is another period piece starting in the 1950s about an English country vicar, which is a reverend in the English church, who joins the police to solve murder. He doesn't join the police. He becomes a partner with the police. He doesn't become an actual officer. So, um, I know a murder solving reverend. So far, we've had an antique dealer. Now we have a reverend. They just keep coming. They just keep it coming. Then there is a gay minister in training who is trying to serve the Lord and be himself. And when it comes to Sydney, he ends up leaving the ministry because the woman he has always been in love with marries someone else and divorces them while she is pregnant. We are talking about a young woman in her 20s in the 1950s that willingly becomes a single mother, and Sydney chooses to help her with her baby and wait for her divorce so that they can marry. However, just like Prince Charles couldn't marry Camilla because of her age and possible inability to have children, the same is true in the ministry. His first wife needs to be a practical virgin. Then the minister in training, Leonard, tries to fight his true nature, but he realizes that he is gay. And when he does come to the church where Sydney is to train, he tries to conform because he is engaged. And when he realizes that he cannot, he ends the engagement. And he too ends up leaving the ministry. And he even spends time in jail because being a homosexual at that time was illegal. After he spends time in jail, he tries to find another way to serve the community. He tries a bakery and then a sober house. The latter, of course, causes issues in the community. And the police officer that the ministers help with the crime in the neighborhood has his own issues. He cheats on his wife and gets drunk, especially after his wife starts working outside the home because the children, I think they have like 4 or 5 daughters, are all school age. So she's home to her own devices. So she decides to go to work, which becomes a contentious issue for them both. And on top of the cheating and the drinking. So, though the wife can work and women do work in the 1950s, it's considered a no-no because it makes the man appear like he can't take care of his family. His wife has to leave the home to work. I mean, of course, this is just the thought process of the people at the time in the area. But we all know everybody works for different reasons. She was just working to make a little money, feel a little independent, and do something while her girls were away. She wasn't trying to downplay her husband's role in the house or anything like that. She was just trying to be her own woman. So, Grantchester, as I've stated, is another show that's on Prime Video with a subscription to PBS. So please take a watch. I have watched 6 seasons with 10 available, and it's still in production. I kind of got away from it because the original Vickers, Sydney and Leonard, changing their roles, with Sydney leaving because of the woman he loved, and Leonard going through his metamorphosis and ultimately leaving the church. Within that 6 seasons, we've lost 2 ministers who you become attached to, and the new vicar is a motorcycle riding wealthy gentleman who is estranged from his family because he chose not to take his position. And once he starts in the ministry, you can kind of see the tension between him and his family, and he goes with Leonard because something happens on the on his parents' estate. Either something happens or there's some type of gathering that he goes to. So when he gets there, Leonard's like, "Well, what's this?" Because there's grounds and grass and a huge mansion. So Leonard's like, "Why are you a minister or a reverend?" And you, from his demeanor, you wouldn't know that he comes from money. He rides a motorcycle, which is something unfamiliar, especially for a minister to do at this particular time. So while they're there, unfortunately, the father is killed, and they find out the only thing that the family has is debt. There's no income, and they have to sell the home or the property to pay off the family debt so the mother will have income to live. So if you choose to watch, please drop a comment on one of my social media platforms or podcast platforms. Pet peeve. Yes, I have a pet peeve this week. They finally got me. I guess I should not be upset. Really not sure how I got away without subscribing for so long. So now I have another one. Though I and when I say another one, another subscription. Though they were offering a special, so I was able to get a year for $30, and on renewal it would be $60. And that is the plan with the ads option. And when I say they got me, I mean Paramount Plus. And the other thing is, like I said before, my first pet peeve was the ads. I'm paying so I don't have ads. But if I didn't pay, there's some shows that stream on Paramount Plus, like Tony and Ziva, which I've come to enjoy, that I cannot see if I don't have a subscription, since they caught me. So, like I said, if I'm paying to stream, I shouldn't pay for ads. Period. Hard stop. That was the reason. And this is the way they started. I'll say they're becoming greedy. So you already run, and you already run ads on the regular program channels. So stop placing your profits on the backs of your consumers over your shareholders. If we all turn it off, what will you have? Or if you are going to run ads, then that option should be free and without ads paid. Make it make sense. Hopefully, by the renewal time for Paramount Plus, my show would have caught on and everyone will love my commentary so much. I will get free subscriptions to all the platforms. Currently, I only have Peacock, Peacock, Prime Video, and HBO Max free. However, that is only technically free because they are included with another subscription I have. I believe I have counted or decided not to count because I do not want to know what I'm spending. However, as they say, the first step is admitting you have a problem. So there is Netflix, Prime Video, Hulu, and Disney Plus, Peacock, HBO Max, Acorn TV, BritBox, PBS, Stars, BET Plus, Fuse Plus, and now Paramount Plus. And now that I have named them, I must decide what is worth keeping and losing, especially with the cost of these platforms rising exponentially almost yearly. It is ridiculous. If you feel the same way, leave me a comment on any of my social media platforms or podcast platforms. Also, I have removed Hulu and Disney Plus to show unity with my brother Jimmy Kimmel, which will return to air today, this evening, which I'm very happy to see that everyone voted with their dollars and it was understood by the people in charge that we meant business. So, with that said, this make sure you subscribe to 8 Hours Later with the Stream Queen on any platform you listen to your podcast. You can also catch up on episodes from E Says, P Says, so you will be ready when we release new episodes. You can also check out all things Mock on our website, mockmediagroup.com. Want to do more? Support us by buying a cup of coffee at buymeacoffee.com/mockmedia. Thanks for listening. The doors are now open. Go about your day with joy and let me know what you're watching.